Take a look at a modern, highly interconnected city. Millions of people, thousands of concrete structures, and an invisible web of power grids, telecommunications, and transit systems, all humming in perfect sequence. Our pop culture understanding often treats a nuclear strike as just a big bomb. In movies, it goes off as one massive, instantaneous explosion, capped by an imposing mushroom cloud, and then the event is mostly over. The true physics of a nuclear strike operate differently. A detonation triggers a rapid, overlapping cascade of completely distinct disasters. It breaks down the physical, biological, and societal architecture of a city in distinct phases. To actually grasp the mechanics of this destruction, we have to slow time to a crawl. We need to track the collapse, stage by stage, starting from the very first microsecond. The true horror of these weapons lies in their inescapable, ticking clock momentum. Once the sequence begins, each phase of annihilation feeds directly into the next. In the first microsecond, the nuclear reaction releases an immense surge of X-rays. This energy instantaneously superheats the surrounding air into a glowing fireball that burns hotter than the surface of the sun. The immediate byproduct is a blinding flash of light. Anyone looking directly at the detonation point, even from dozens of miles away, will suffer permanent retinal burns or flash blindness. Then the thermal pulse hits at the speed of light. At ground zero, the point directly below the blast, this localized heat wave is so intense that it immediately vaporizes human tissue, stone, glass, and steel. Pushing outward from the vaporization zone, this heat pulse remains incredibly potent. Within a radius of several miles, it simultaneously ignites everything combustible. Curtains, clothing, fuel tanks, and trees burst into flame at the exact same moment. By the time the first second has passed, the biological and combustible layers of the city are entirely consumed, and the actual physical force of the bomb hasn't even arrived yet. Right behind the light comes a massive wall of highly compressed air, traveling at supersonic speeds. This is the blast wave. This technical capture of a test detonation labels the outer boundary explicitly as the shockwave. The immense force pushing this boundary outward is called overpressure, measured in pounds per square inch. Near the center, these pressure levels shatter structural tolerances, pulverizing reinforced human-made buildings into fine dust. Moving outward, the wave creates a lethal debris storm. It shatters glass, flips vehicles, and rips apart surviving architecture, turning all of it into millions of high-speed secondary projectiles. Then comes the negative phase. You can see the label for the dark wave, where the passing shockwave creates a massive vacuum. Air rushes violently back toward the center to fill the void. The kinetic phase is effectively a two-part weapon. Whatever structures survive being flattened by the outward overpressure are immediately torn apart by the violent vacuum pulling back in. Simultaneously, those close enough to the blast who might have survived the heat and the shockwave by hiding in deep underground bunkers face an invisible threat. A massive burst of neutrons and gamma rays instantly destroys cellular structures and the central nervous system, delivering a dose of ionizing radiation that proves lethal within hours. On the surface, this animated map shows the next terrifying phase. The thousands of individual fires ignited by the thermal pulse quickly merge into a single roaring firestorm, driven by something called the chimney effect. The rising heat creates a central updraft, sucking in cold air from the outskirts at hurricane-force speeds. This superheated wind entirely consumes the city's oxygen, replacing it with carbon monoxide. People sheltering safely beneath the rubble asphyxiate as the fire pulls the very air out of their lungs. Meanwhile, if the detonation occurs at a high altitude, it unleashes a massive surge of electromagnetic energy. This EMP fries delicate electronic circuits instantly, permanently disabling the entire power grid, telecommunications networks, and the internet. Within minutes, the physical layout is rubble, the air is toxic, and all modern technology is bricked. There are no phones to call for help, and modern vehicles cannot start. The infrastructure of rescue is entirely eradicated. If the fireball makes contact with the ground, it acts like a massive vacuum. It pulls thousands of tons of dirt, dust, and debris high into the atmosphere, coating it all in radioactive isotopes to form the iconic mushroom cloud. As these radioactive particles cool, they condense with water vapor and fall back to Earth as highly toxic black rain. Depending on wind patterns, this fallout can travel hundreds of miles, contaminating water supplies and soil, and exposing distant populations to acute radiation syndrome, a condition marked by severe internal bleeding and cellular collapse. If multiple weapons are detonated, the impact reaches the stratosphere. Massive volumes of smoke and soot from burning cities block out sunlight, dropping global temperatures in a nuclear winter. Without reliable sunlight and stable temperatures, global agriculture collapses, leading to widespread crop failure. Those who survive the famine face severe genetic damage, facing drastically higher lifetime risks of leukemia, rare cancers, and elevated rates of birth defects. In a matter of seconds, physical architecture is pulverized. In hours, the biological environment becomes uninhabitable. And in the years that follow, the genetic code of the survivors is permanently scarred. A nuclear strike is an absolute systemic collapse, proving that the only true defense against this sequence of events is to ensure it never begins.